Hoping this works. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to GEEXX Plays, or Old Man Plays Video Games Badly, whichever you want to call it. I've been trying to make this video for a few days. Apparently something went wrong with my microphone. As it happens every few months, one of my microphones always dies, so I had to make something else work. I did a sound check, it looked like this was recording, so we'll give this a shot. Anywho, I had never played Dark Souls before. Well, I played the original Dark Souls, I played Elden Ring. If you watch my channel, you know that. But I never got around to playing Dark Souls 2. I did actually buy the whole Dark Souls collection when it was on sale for Steam, so I got them all 3 games dirt cheap. And people had always said that, Dark Souls 2 was the bastard stepchild of the series. It was the most hated game in the series, and I was like, it can't be that bad, can it? And the answer to that question is yes and no. So I've beaten the base game. I have beaten one of the DLCs. I kind of got stuck on the Fume Knight, and I just barely scratched the surface of I think it was a Sunken DLC. I did Crown of the Ivory King. So yeah, I did do Crown of the Iron King or Crown of the Sunken King. In part because I was just burned out on the game, and part of it is my fault, and part of it is the game's fault. So, let's talk about what I liked about this game. For one thing, it's gorgeous. The graphics are a step up from the original game, from Dark Souls 1. Another thing too is if you look at my cape, you see how it's blowing in the breeze. I mean, if you get over here, like, it's really kind of actively blowing in the breeze. If I walk inside a building, it stops doing that. So there are little touches like that all throughout the game. Like if you swing your weapon near like a candle, the candle flames will flicker. Standing close to a fire can cause your cape to billow. Your cape to billow. Sorry, your cape. They only did that for this game. Like Dark Souls 1 and 3, even Elden Ring doesn't have some of those details. So this game really does some unique stuff that's really good. Even the sound design is really good. I mean, the music is kind of... I've been here, so I think the music is kind of repetitive. So, musically, no, I'm not as enthralled with it, but the sound design is really good overall. I think the enemy design is okay. Some of the boss designs are really good. I think that the basic gameplay itself is as good as the other Dark Souls 1. I mean, you've got the dodging, you've got the spells, you've got the attacking. So overall, I think most of the gameplay is pretty good. But a lot of this game I did find very, very frustrating. If you look up at my health bar, you'll notice there's like a black chunk missing. That's because when you die, you go hollow. You turn dead. If you can see, hold on. Here. Take my helmet off. There you go. Look at this gorgeous face. So when you die, you go hollow. You can only become unhollow by eating one of these human effigies. Use. You see, I have a ton of them. See, look at that. I'm so much more pretty now. And my health bar will fill. My health bar is not maximum. So when we drink potion stuff, it will fill up. The problem with this is that in the base game, when you kill something, when you kill things, they respawn. That's a Dark Souls, a Souls-like game staple. The problem is that in this game, if they die a certain number of times, they stop respawning, which means there's a limit on how much you can farm stuff. Now, in theory, that's a good thing. However, when you die, you become hollow, and that black bar gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So the more you die, the harder this game gets. And there's a limit on how many of these things you can find, unless you do something special. Um, there's a covenant in the game where you can make it. It's up here on the side. If you kneel at this stupid thing up here, you will enter a covenant, the Covenant of Champions. See, kneel, and then everything respawns permanently. That's kind of how I farmed up so many of these human effigies. I wasn't actually going for human effigies. I was going for Titanite to upgrade gear, because there's only 20 that actually, 20 or 25 that actually spawn in the game, and a lot of gear requires Twinkling Titanite. More than just, that's not even up to max level 2 pieces of gear. You need 15 to max level any piece of gear. So I basically turned that on so I could farm enough Titanite to max out, like like I have. This staff is +5, this staff is +5, leggings +5, Hexer's Rail +5, and the Hexer's Hood +5. So obviously I farmed a ton of Twinkling Titanite. It's not necessary, but I'm kind of a, if something can be upgraded, I want to upgrade it. So it was kind of like my thing. And in farming the Twinkling Titanite, I got a ton of these human effigies, because the monster that spawned around them, the mobs that spawn the Titanite also spawn the effigies. So that's like a little side effect. So I could keep myself from unhollowed for a good chunk of the game. Didn't have to worry about those for a long time. But yeah, but the thing about getting that covenant up there is that you will do 20% less damage, and monsters will do 20% more damage to you. So it makes the game objectively really harder to be in that covenant. So you either have the ability to farm stuff indefinitely, but you make the game harder for yourself, or what have you, or you just, whatever you do, the game is going to be really hard. This is the hardest of the Souls games that I've played, hands down. The other thing too is that it is very, very easy to get overwhelmed. I actually found the regular creatures of the game harder than most of the bosses, because a lot of them run as fast as you do. Like in Dark Souls 1 and even in Elden Ring, you can you get overwhelmed if you do something stupid, but there are ways you can minimize that by finding things, finding ways to pick them off or isolate them so you don't get overwhelmed. There are just areas in this game where that's not possible. There are four or five enemies closely clustered together who can run as fast as you. You cannot run away from them. They'll keep following you for a long, long time. They will follow you forever. So it is very, very difficult to control the fights. It's not impossible, but it is much harder. And that's just the regular fights. Like I said, I found a lot of the areas in this game more difficult and pain in the ass to deal with than a lot of the bosses. It was just so frustrating just to get to the bosses. Another thing too is that playing as a sorcerer as I am, I went up dumping a lot of points into attunement so I could have lots of spell slots. Let me show you. I've got lots of spell slots. I can carry tons of spells. Oh, repairing. That's another thing. Your weapons break. And repair powder. Do I even have any? I don't even know what it looks like. I don't think I have any repair powder. Anyway, yeah. Repair powder. Oh, I got 15. Wow, how'd they get that much? But repair powder is very difficult to come by. All the farming and stuff I did, I've only got 15. But your weapons have durability. Like the Sunset Staff has a durability of 30. This has a durability of 50. Everything has a durability. Now, this isn't as much an issue because when you rest at the bonfire, it automatically repairs up to full. So cool. But there are areas in the game where, again, because things fight you and follow you, you kind of have to kill your way to the boss. And I have a limited number of shots of things. And I have had, on a couple of occasions, had my weapons break because I had to use them to kill things with. It's like, you need to have 2 weapons in this game, unless you can repair them. And I've only got 4 repair spells, all the attunement that I've got. 4 is the maximum number of times I can repair something. It's like, there are just so many mechanics in this game that make it unnecessarily difficult. They make areas where you have to fight constantly just to stay alive long enough to get the boss, and then your weapon breaks, and you're screwed. You can't unless you have a secondary weapon. Dying is very punishing. Fighting too much is very punishing. It just gets in the way of the gameplay. This is the only I've only played 3 Souls games. I don't have a PlayStation, so I didn't play Bloodborne. I didn't play Demon Souls. I've only played Dark Souls 1 and 2 and Elden Ring so far. This is the only game where I felt I needed to farm. Not for the XP, not for the souls, not so I could level up, but just to clear the room. Knowing that killing monsters often enough to kill them permanently, I basically would just do that. Not because I wanted the extra levels, but because I wanted to survive and have my weapon not be broken when I got to the boss. And the repair spell is the only one I only got recently. And it also takes up a slot. Having the repair spell means I'm losing out on damage spells or utility spells. So it's just... Another thing about the Estus Flask. Estus Flask is great. I have 12 of them. I've got maximum. The problem, though, here is it takes a long time to drink. It's like 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Drinking a potion, drinking Estus Flask, takes 3 full seconds in which you cannot do anything else. You can't dodge, you can't attack, you're stuck for 3 seconds when you're trying to heal. And in a boss fight, that is very dangerous, to be unable to dodge or roll or anything. So it's just, you really, really, really have to focus. I spent so many boss fights, the difficult ones at least anyway, where I was just not attacking because I never got the opportunity. The boss was waiting for me to, the boss's input read. If they see you pushing a button, they will lunge at you. And they can cover half the boss arena in like a second and a half. So you have to pick and choose your moments to attack and pick and choose your moments to heal. There were boss fights where I would spend like 5 minutes doing nothing but trying to look for an opportunity to do something. So, and it's, there are so many impediments to playing the game. Not that, I admit I'm bad at the game. I didn't call this old man playing video games badly for no reason. So, I've watched other people. I played this game mostly blind. But another problem I have with the game is that this is the first of the. I'm good at exploring these games. I am a bit OCD. I really want to find everything, every nook and cranny, every piece of loot. And I hit dead ends where I had no idea what to do or where to go, multiple times. And I never got stuck in Dark Souls. I never got stuck in Elden Ring. This is the first Souls games that I got stuck in where I had to go online. It's like, how do I find the next boss? How do I find the next area? I have no idea what I'm doing. And I watched someone else who had done a full run through of all 100% loot of Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the, whatever it is, Scholars of Sven, whatever hell it is called. And he would do these things in like 20-minute blurbs, just cut through stuff. But he was also obviously a pro. He also had a hybrid build. He had a hex build and a melee build. He basically had a spear that he would enchant with Dark Weapon, and he would use Dark Orbs to get things from a distance when he needed it. And from what I've seen playing myself, it seems like a hybrid build is the best way to play this game, for PvE purposes at least. Get a good weapon, get a good either sorceries, hexes, incantations, or pyromancies. Pick your poison, and just alternate back and forth. You don't need a lot of stats. That's another thing, a problem that I had. It's like, it's really, your stats basically max out at 50. Anything over 50 is kind of a waste of points. Now, I did get some of my stats over 50, just because with all the farming that I did, I had the points to put in them, but it didn't really do me a lot. I didn't really get anything out of it. I didn't get a lot of extra damage. For intelligence from 50 to 99, you're going to get maybe like an extra 40 points of damage from your basic spells, from like Great Heavy Soul Arrow or Dark Orb, I'm not sure how much Soul Spirit gives you extra. I never didn't bother to calculate that, but yeah, you get like an extra point for every for like 45 points or so. You get 40 points of damage extra, and at high end of the game, you're just not scaling. I don't know if that works for melee as well, for melee weapons, because I haven't tried it. I'm in a pure caster build, but I've alternated between hexes and sorceries, and even tried some pyromancies. But there's just like I said, you peak very quickly, and the game doesn't. You know, the game continues to get harder as you level up, and you just don't gain any extra power. You know, I've maxed out my power by mid-level through the game, so it's like, okay, I'm not going to be doing any more damage the rest of the game. This is what I have to deal with. And especially with the DLCs, there were some bosses that took me like 4 or 5 heavy great souls to, like 4 or 5 heavy great soul hours to kill, or 4 or 5 dark orbs to kill. And like, because I don't have a melee weapon, because I don't have the I don't have the strength or dexterity, whatever, to do a melee weapon, I basically had to either, you know, again, you could use these herbs to get your spells back, to recharge your spells, but again, those are something that's in limited quantity. I have so many because I didn't use that many, because I would just clear the room and go back and rest. So but it's just, this game could have been great. I don't hate it, but I found it frustrating. You know, that's why I didn't continue the other 2 DLCs. It's just, you know, the Fume Knight was just input reading me to death. Either that, or he would just like posture and not let me attack. He would put himself on guard mode. I couldn't get in a good position to attack. He would kill me in 2 or 3 hits. So it's just like, it was just an exercise in frustration. I could have done it. It was just so frustrating. I think I died like 10 or 12 times, and it's just like, you know what? I've sunk this many hours in the game. I beat the main boss. I don't need to punish myself anymore. And if the DLC isn't that exciting, I think if I'd done Crown of the Sunken King first, there's a good hex spell, called the Dark Blade, I think, where you kind of shoot out this little arc of dark energy. I think that looked cool. Maybe if I'd gotten that, I might have been a bit more excited. I think another problem is that some of the spell options are limited. I've got a ton of them, but like a lot of the this spell is good, this spell is good, but like a lot of these spells are kind of situational. Like Soul Shower is an AoE spell, but it doesn't hit anything. These AoE spells, Soul Vortex, unless you're fighting a giant boss that you're going to hit multiple times, it's just not worth it. It's just not going to do enough damage to make it worthwhile. And you get Great Heavy Soul out pretty early. There's nothing better than it. You get these homing soul hours late in the game, and they're just not that great. Oh, one more complaint. Target lock-on, which you kind of need to cast spells with in combat, is probably about the same distance from me to that rock. This is how closely I can lock on a target. And look, I'm a caster looking to do range damage, and I'm within like not dodging, dashing distance, lunging distance. So I have to get close, lock on, and then run away, so I could shoot spells from back here and be safe. Because in spite of my high hit point bar, I don't have a lot of armor. Even the fact that I've upgraded this stuff, I don't have a lot of, I've upgraded this as high as it can go. I don't have a lot of poise. I don't have a lot of defense. So, I can do better. I can switch the Coveted Serpent Wing out. I can switch this out to get some more defenses. I can use the Dark Clutch Ring for more damage. But, I can get the Clutch Rings will make me do more damage, but yeah, this one, it does, Dark Orb for the Clutch Ring, it does like an extra 20 points of damage. It's like, not worth it. Not worth taking the extra damage. Yeah, you peak too soon. Some of the buffs aren't really worth it. Some of the spells aren't worth it. Although I had the problem with that same problem of spells not being worth it in Elden Ring. Some of the spells are just too situational to ever be really worthwhile. So yeah, this is kind of a negative review. But I think some of it is because I'm not good at these games. I love them, but I'm just not good at them. I think some of my frustration is the fact that I spent so long trying to get somewhere and do something that I just got burned out. If this game had been tweaked a little bit, where it was a bit more, I don't think the game necessarily needs to be easier. There just needs to be some tweaks, to make it less frustrating. Make it, I don't know. I'm not a game programmer. I just think if this game had a few tweaks, another thing, I could go on about the game design that I find. In Dark Souls 1, all the locations fed into each other naturally. This doesn't have the same organic feel to it. It's just, it's a bunch of small little things that add up that kind of made the game frustrating for me. So while I actually did enjoy playing this game quite a bit, the level of frustration I had at certain times in the game just made it so that I just probably won't ever pick this up again. I'll delete this from my hard drive and be done with it and call it a day. So, hopefully this recording is decent. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, take that as you will. If you have any comments about my Dark Souls 2 gameplay, I would appreciate hearing them. As always, thanks for watching. As always, my stuff is crap. And until next time, good hunting.